Welcome everyone. What can I say? Welcome to this special Tuesday night. This is our inaugural Constructors Championship Series, and I'll get into the depths of what all that means very shortly. I'm very excited to be able to host this. My name's RWB Beanster, and I'm a proud member of the RWB Racing Club. I'm going to be taking you through this evening's exciting racing. I'm sure there'll be plenty of adventures along the way. I can't tell you how pumped I am to do this. This is a really different type of racing we're going to be seeing. A different concept, and I just really can't wait to get going. It's going to tell us so many different things over the next 10 weeks, because it's a 10-week series, but it's a 10-week series with a complete twist. Right, it's called a Constructors series for a reason. You've probably sat behind YouTube or even on one of our own streams and you've watched racers racing against each other, you know, driving for best segment times, best lap times, driver versus driver, ego versus ego. We've seen it, we've raced it, we've watched it. It's great fun, isn't it? But there's nothing better than laying on top of that personal challenge. It's the Constructors Challenge. Like we're actually racing for constructor or companies, and that's pretty much how you'll see F1 in every week, and that's how you'll see WRC every week. You know, constructor-centered championships where winning points for the team is so important. This season in Formula One, if you're interested, we've seen Valtteri Bottas playing the absolute company man, right, for Mercedes, being the defense mechanism for Hamilton to win another championship. Whether you like that or not, he's forming part of a big functional team, and that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing for this season. So we have all of the constructors on offer in GT3 class racing only. So no GT4s here, just the GT3 cars, and every single manufacturer in the GT3 series as part of Assetto Corsa Competizione is represented here tonight. I'm scrolling down my list and I can see, and I think it's around about 39 drivers who are in attendance tonight to kick us off for this first race. That's a fantastic night's racing ahead of us. So let's have a little look at how the season's going to unfold. Basically, we are running 5 races up until Christmas, so that's going to take us up to the festive period, so about middle of December, and then we will have a 2-week break. And while most people will be enjoying time with their families or spending time away from work and just relaxing, all of these racers will be negotiating their second half of their season contract, because in the middle of this season each driver gets the opportunity to flip and change a team. So maybe they're on a team that's performing pretty badly and they're sick of being at the back of the pack, or they don't think their teammates are pulling their weight, or they fancy the chance of racing next to one of the resident aliens. Who knows? Maybe some of the faster teams who seem to be dominating aren't feeling challenged and want to take that Honda to the championship, or want to show everyone that the Lexus is the true all-rounder. Who knows? But there's a 2-week window over the festive period for renegotiation of contract, a shifting of seats. By the way, this is all done by negotiating. If you want to sit in somebody else's car for the second half of the season, you have to speak to the team, get yourself involved with that team, pitch why you should be in there, and pitch who should be out of there. I can imagine there's going to be some quite interesting conversations over that period of time, but that will shake the season up for the second half. We'll end up with different drivers in different cars, and maybe a surge comeback from one of the backmarking teams, who knows. So, let's take a quick look at exactly which cars are running. We have the AMR, Aston Martin. Obviously we have the Bentley. Missed that one. Yeah, the Beamer for those blistering long straights. The Ferrari, always tricky round a corner. Loving that. I think it was a Honda. I looked away. There's the Lambo. The Lexus. That's a nice livery. The McLaren. Yum yum. And the AMG. Yeah, the Nismo. Wouldn't mind a go in one of those. And of course, the Porsche. So it's every single car, every single manufacturer running this competition. And at the risk of blowing it in terms of giving everybody a name drop here, I'm going to give it a try anyway. So we have, and actually just want to make sure everybody is aware, there's 50 drivers signed up for this competition. Well, that's a fantastic showing. Everyone is effectively driving their own race. They're driving for points as an individual, but they're also driving for constructor points, and it's the constructor focus for this competition. So let's run through who were the lucky 4 drivers in an Aston Martin. Well, that was Kevin Shepherd, Paul Cole, Jacob Tarantino, and Aaron Arday. In the Audi, we have Stefan Kutnik, Alistair Tinch, Marco Badowski, Jeff. And by the way, I noticed that a lot of people have been registering on Sim Racing GP with their real names, so many of you will be known as all different kinds of gamer tags, but I'm just going to read what I've got on the sheet in front of me. So those lucky Bentley drivers, that's Maral, Lennart Grossel, Jake Moore, and Christoph Verstappen. In the BMW, Joshua Barton, Xavier Eugenie, Nathan Newcomer, and Piet van Dormalen. Mic check. In Ferrari, Alan Gooch, Sam Harpen, Bart Matja, and Freddie Daly. In the Honda, go on lads, Stephen Dent, Carlos Coches, Radek Schuler, and Tim Tarantino. In the Lamborghini, Martin Schaefer, Damien Wilk, Stavros Konstantinidis, and James Lacey. In the Lexus, Emil Schloblum, hope I got that right, Phil Varley, Thomas Cruikshanks, Bill Jones, Rodrigo Souza. In the McLaren, Jake Zhang, Sebastian Terencevic, Crawford Brown, Jack Donaldson, Panianitis Petsas. See how brave I am. Fabulous names. In the Mercedes, Martin Horgan, Alexander Dahl, Robert De Vries, Justin Madley. In the Nissan, Kai Banks, Daniel Preto, Mark Jensen, Matt Hyam, and finally, in the Alien Porsche, Terry Agoris, Tom Weaver, Jeffrey Reinhardt, and last but not least, Dominik Majzowski. I know he is monitoring my pronunciation of his name. So, let's talk a little bit about where we are. We're still in the practice session, so pre-qualifying. Everyone's just getting warmed up, reacquainting themselves with cars, tracks, setups, etc. We're at the Spa-Francorchamps, if you haven't recognised it already. This is an absolute classic of a track. It's been around for about 100 years. A stunning historical track which sadly has a number of pretty awful accidents that have happened at this track, which have really gave it a reputation in its previous incarnation as a bit of a killer of a track, because it was based on just regular roads back in the day, surrounded by the Ardennes forest, you can see there, but they were just regular public highways with hay bales on the sides, with cars that had very little grip, but quite high speeds and low weights to them. And it was known for lots of fog that would capture inside the forests, and also lots of rain mist and morning mist that wouldn't clear for ages and ages. And so there were some really nasty accidents, and actually some of the safety climate that we now watch racing in has come from some of the incidents that came from that period of time in racing. But what you're looking at is the modern incarnation of the racetrack, which is obviously top grade FIA racetrack used for the last got to be 20, 30 years of Formula One at least. Certainly housed for a lot of GT Endurance Race Cups and the LMPs as well. So it's just got such great credentials. Known as the driver's racetrack. It has such an amazing blend of corners and straights. And while we've got 3 minutes, let's go on board and see if we can go for a quick lap. This is La Source, corner number 1, down the hill as fast as you can into the most famous corner probably on any race circuit, which you can see ahead of you is Eau Rouge, a left-right switch. Eau Rouge is this part of it, and Radion is at the top here, the left-hander, which is completely unsighted. As you then go as fast as you can up the Kemmel Straight. Great opportunities for getting underneath somebody here and possibly getting a tow for some extremely late braking into Lecum, which is a right-hander at the top here. A kind of a, I would call that a slow chicane effectively. Left-hander then falls into Malmedy. These curbs are reasonably generous around here, and then we fall down the hill into Bruxelles, which is long, slow, and 180 degrees equi-curve. What do you call those these days? And then we take a left-hander, which you can take a lot of the left curb there, and yeah, probably that much right-hand curb as well if you want. Up down the straight, it is going downhill. Quite a late stab on the brakes here as you go into double gauche, which is quite fast, but obviously prone to understeer, and you do get penalised if you exit too fast on that right-hander there. We now cross into Les Fagnes, a right-left. After the high-speed section, this gets a little bit more technical. We're down in the lower speeds trying to balance the throttle before we go into Campus, a right-hander which is deceptively sharp, before a less sharp right-hander which is Stavelot. Very famous corner. Everyone has to get Stavelot right, and the reason you have to get Stavelot right is because you spend forever on Courbe Paul Frère, which is this uphill straight here, which has a slight jink in it, and this left-hander which is called Blanchiment, which is done pretty much full pace, and then pick as late as you dare, break point for a nasty right left-hander chicane with the pit entrance on the right there, into the start-finish straight. Very, very fast times around here would be in the 2:15s in this formula. I'm just looking at our scoring board, and currently on our practice board here, Nathan Newcomber. Do you hear me? I just said Nathan Newcomber. Please don't make any comments about that. Nathan Newcomer is currently running at the top of our quali here with a 2-minute 17.486. 487. So you know, these are very, very fast corners, very easy to make many mistakes because it's such a long lap, but it's perfectly suited to this type of racing where we've effectively got a big grid. We've got 30 plus cars out tonight, and that means they'll be racing all around the circuit, which will certainly keep myself on my toes. So that's where we are. We're 45 seconds before we hit the qualifier. And that gives me a little time just to explain the format. So the format for this entire season. So if you give me a moment. Yep, format's very simple. But it does lean towards, it's a really good format that we've created, which really does lend itself towards great sprint racing. So it's a 30-minute practice. So you drop in if you want to, if you can, into the practice session, and then each week there'll be Quali 1, which is a 10-minute duration, followed straight afterwards by a 30-minute race, which is race 1. Then we go back into quali, so we're not going to do the last places in the previous race get carried forward into the qualifying grid positions of the second race. It's all going to be back to quali again, and then we'll have a second race which will be another 30 minutes. So all told, from the start to the finish, I make that an hour and 50 in total if you include all of practice. So each week we'll be here at 8:45 Greenwich Mean Time. Just to start the process off, I'll jump in and do basic start of the commentary when we get to this section here, when we're just coming out of practice and into quali. I thought I'd give a bit of extra lead time because I wanted to explain a lot more about the function of the series. So yeah, it's P30, Q10, R30, Q10, R30. We have, like I said before, 50 drivers going across each one of the teams, and I'll be checking on Pit Wall Live. So for those of you who are watching, thinking of joining this next week, can't make it this week, or watching the recording back, we're using Pit Wall Live as well, which is a great source of data, which helps us to basically track where the pink sectors are, where the pink laps are, and all that good stuff. Okay, so teams now have a short break in order to gather their thoughts for quali, get their qualification setups all lined up, and we'll kick off the quali session.
Green light, give it all you can.
Okay, quali starts, and we take the first 5 minutes of quali to traverse the pit lane. Very much worth note here in a short sprint race is everyone will be pushing extremely hard to make sure that they get, best laps out in a quali, or best laps in the race as well. What that can lead to is some off tracks, some going out of track limits. That will be extremely punishing on this circuit. Stop go or a drive through is very, very costly here. I'm not sure what the current estimate is. I can probably pick that up from Pit Wall as we go through the race, but I mean, in a 30-minute race, that's pretty catastrophic. It's going to be extremely difficult to serve a penalty here and make it back out into anywhere near like the position you left. So no pit stops are mandatory here at all, so we'll get to see a 30-minute sprint as it should be, full on max volume, and we just check the first few drivers as they come round. One of the things that obviously everyone will be discussing probably after the race, once they see where the constructors are actually settling in, is how is this going to affect the way you race, the way you challenge each other on the circuit. Most of the names on the racing here are familiar with each other, raced in RWB for some time, and probably have some history, hopefully all good. Being able to track each other and see each other on the racetrack when you've always raced has always been about just beating each other, making sure that you're the faster one on the circuit. I wonder if being part of a constructor series will have an effect on that. I mean, 90% of me says that each driver will just go for themselves, score as many points as they can. But you never know. If you've got 2 or 3 buddies in one constructor, that could become very tactical. You could see how drivers could hold up field, nice and gently in order to secure victories or protect each other's positions on track in a way that is, call it team orders if you like. All of that is absolutely free to choose. Each race team is free to perform as they want to, so they may never have spoken to each other as drivers even in the build-up to this series, or they may be best mates for many years. And that in itself will probably have an effect on the way some of these teams can perform together as a unit. We will have at the start of every show a little replay reel to give everyone highlights of what happened last week. But we'll also be able to put up on the screen the scores in terms of Constructors Championships. I know you'll be able to pick those up through the week, probably on Sim Racing as well. But we'll be showing all of that to make sure that the whole thing connects together through the whole of the series. And that's the thing about a 10-minute qualification at Spa. It really only gives you an outlap, and I make that 4 maximum laps at 2 minutes 20. You make your outlap, take your time, not too much time. You cut over the line at 2 minutes and something, and that really at most gives you 3 fast laps. So important that everyone's concentrating for this first section, and as Matt Hyam puts in our fastest lap with a 2:19.899, kicking us off in the quali session, first man over the line. So for everyone's joy in Team Nissan, as I said that, the Audi of Stefan Kutnik takes the first position here with a 2:18.561, quickly followed by Crawford Brown in a McLaren with a 2:18.360. So these times were being beaten in practice. So we'll sure to see them beating as the times start to file in. Currently McLaren leading Audi with BMW and Aston Martin behind. So good spread across the manufacturers already. Crawford Brown, Stepan Kutnik, Nathan Newcomer, Paul Cole and Marco Badowski making their mark in the top 5 already. Let's track across here. Let's take a look at Nathan as he makes his way around the circuit. Wow, as if the BMW needs a tow up Kemmel. That's Alistair Clinch here. So currently still McLaren leading the pack here with the Crawford Brown 2:18.360. Going down the pack here, so your top 10 are Crawford Brown, Stefan Kutnik, Nathan Newcomer, Paul Cole, James Lacey, Justin Madley, Marco Badowski, Matt Hyam, Martin Schaefer and Sam Harpham in the top 10 at the moment. We have Reinhardt in the pit, so that's not going to work out, being in the pits, unless that was an incident on track. There's not really enough time for an in lap and an out lap and a fast lap Spa with a 10-minute quali session. So we'll see how that pans out. Going well so far for McLaren, with a Ferrari just dropped into 3rd position. That's the Ferrari of Bart Mathieu, running car number 404. And he's taken the opportunity to hit the pit. So yeah, done my fastest lap, go back to the pit, relax. It's all good. Let's still tracking here with Alistair Clinch. He's going to make this. Let's see where he ends up. Currently sitting in 24th. And making it through to 15th. That's a nice lap there. Crawford Brown still sitting in pole position. Let's take a little look. Running on board with HF here, so we are 1 minute left of quali. It's looking pretty settled here at the moment, unless there's a couple more teams out there currently running. I'm following Jeff, and Jack Donaldson is ahead. Uh-oh. That's all good. Okay, not so good. I think we might have some lag issues there, so let's pick up Xavier Eugenie. So 45 seconds left of quali. Just track through, pick up the guys who are just passing the line here. Marco stays in 13th. Right, that looks like a good session. And just checking through here, as we count down, we have 10 seconds left of quali. We have just missed Christoph Verstappen go through in his Bentley to take pole position with a 2:17.712, unless there's any more driving through. So it looks to me now quali's over, so it's only cars out on track who will be able to make this final lap. That's not going to be Stefan or Radec. Martin Schaefer just puts himself in 6th position. If I'm not mistaken, Nathan looks like he's on a lap. And he's up on his lap as well, so we'll just track this through. If I've got this right, there's still time left for him to make the checkered flag because he passed the start-finish line before it was shown. So far, the only man on track who seems to be ahead of himself, except for Marco Badowski, who's also putting in a very late charge for pole position here. As it stands, it's Christoph Verstappen in Bentley, ahead of Crawford Brown in a McLaren, and Stepan Kutnik in an Audi, as we track the Beamer making its way through Blanchimont for the final chicane. This is his last 2 corners to nail correctly. This is Blanchimont. Still up on his previous time as far as my timing screen is saying, leaving us in suspense for the last moments here. Where's Nate going to end? Okay, that's up. So impressed. Nate shows us how to do quali as he rocks up for the very last second and takes pole position. And we'll take a short second here just to get ourselves into the starting position. A couple of minutes while everyone loads up their setup. So that was blistering. Nate Newcomer he was 2 seconds up on his previous lap and qualified in a 2:17 something or other. I can't quite see it. Now, so the grid is Nate Newcomer with Christoph Verstappen in second place, Crawford Brown in third, Stepan Kutnik in fourth, Mark Jensen in fifth, Marco Badowski in sixth, Sam Harpham in seventh, Martin Schaefer in eighth, Radek Schuller in ninth, James Lacey in 10th. We still have somebody in the pit on my scoring board, which is Freddie Daly. So hopefully he's making his way out. Maybe he has to start in the pit. Let me check through. No. So working we have 44 drivers. We're near full house now. So some drivers probably didn't make it out to do their qualies, which is fair enough. But yeah, 48 drivers. 47 drivers, sorry, 44 drivers currently with us. Looking like it's going to be a great race with BMW taking the what we call the initial momentum in this championship, followed by Audi, Ferrari, Lexus, BMW, Mercedes, Nissan, BMW, and Lamborghini in 9th position, with Porsche in 10. That's the highest scoring Porsche. Maybe not a circuit that lends itself particularly to the Porsche. Depends on how you drive, I guess. So in 10th, Porsche holding up. Have we got any of those that are not represented? That's a fantastic spread of manufacturers across the top 10, which puts everyone in prime position to get some good points out of this season. When we get a break, if I get a break, I will explain how the scoring works. during the race, so that everybody knows how their individual scores will be made up and how their team scores will accumulate through the season. So we're here in Spa for the first of our inaugural Constructors Championship, and we're about to kick off in the next 30 seconds or so. As we go through the session, we'll do a couple of spotlights on each of the team just to see how they're performing, and I'll try and cover as many of the race incidents as I can. It's a one-man band tonight, so we'll see how we get on. Good luck everyone, and drive safe. Don't crash in the first lap, it's pointless. And let's see if you are going to be loyal to your manufacturer or loyal to your ego. Time will tell. This is the shortened lap, I believe. Everyone staying line abreast here as we go through La Source and downhill for the official start-finish race line here for an endurance race or a GT3 series, which will take us at breakneck pace into Eau Rouge. Fingers crossed we don't have any disasters. Everyone will be looking out for each other, I hope, because we will not be running any full course yellows as far as I'm aware. All accidents will end up being repaired in the pit as we are go, go, go. And Nate Newcomer leads the pack off, the Bentley sliding in behind him as we head up Eau Rouge. What a fabulous sight, seeing all those cars powering up the hill there. We're keeping the track here on Nate as he comes round into Kemmel Straight for the first time, and you can see the pack absolutely beautiful streamed out behind them, and looking pretty good so far. Didn't see any incidents. We've got some attacks happening down the field here. I'll skip back a few cars just to see how we all make it through into the first corner here at the top at Lecum. Everyone very tidy. Some tightening up at the pack there. I saw a Ferrari a little bit sideways. Apologies for hammering the button there, but yeah, just wanted to make sure that we were covering this first lap through the field as we go into the back. I mean, this is great. We're wheel to wheel, we're door to door, and everybody is making sure they make it through this first lap intact, and that makes me very happy, and I've no idea why. So good racing so far, so good. When you're here, your heart rate's running, your adrenaline's pretty high, it could go anywhere. But you're basically tracking the cars in front of you to make sure that you take opportunities when they come, but you don't force your nose in and cause an accident. An accident caused at the front here could potentially take 20 cars out, and you don't want to be that guy. So as we're tracking through here, let's look at Paul Cole. Fabulous looking livery there as he's in his Aston Martin, currently in the 18th position as it stands now. We track back a few more cars through. No changes at the front. Nate Newcomer is still in the lead of Christopher Streppen with Crawford Brown in third position, but I'm just making sure we get a good view of the whole track. This is 44 cars going around Spa-Francorchamps. Not one of them has gone backwards yet. Not one of them has hit the wall. I keep saying that just in case one of them will do, but they're not. It's all good. Running wide a little bit there out of the exit of Blanchimont as they climb up to the hill to the very, very tricky right-left-hander. We have a couple of changes of position up in 8th, 9th, 10th, so I think we have somebody who's dropped out, and you can see it's getting a bit compressed here. This gets a bit tricky. It's very difficult to find your way around. You're not expecting to stop still, but again, pretty well balanced. Don't get on the throttle too heavily because you'll just spin as you try to recover. Everyone made it through that, but yeah, I kind of half expected there would be an incident. So many cars on the circuit, but did very well to make it all that way through to the front. So well done, everyone. Just a little bit of a hiccup at the back there. I can see a couple of cars pitting, which may lose them. The points do get scored quite low down on the grid here, so it's still worthwhile staying in the grid for as long as you can. I'm going to flip to the front of the circuit now, and let's take a look at Nate Newcomer, who is currently holding off Christopher Streppen in second place, with Crawford Brown still in third. So these three guys keeping pretty in their places as Christoph looks to put a little bit of extra pressure there on Nate going into the kind of technical section, as we then head down the road to Double Gauche. Makes a note to drink water. Great racing so far. We are only 4 minutes into this half-hour race, and it can't help but feel like Nate is under a lot of pressure here. Christoph's trying to find his position. Let's actually jump on board with yay. Let's see what it's like from Christoph's point of view as he continues to apply pressure onto the back of Nate in first position. Just tracking back through the field, Crawford Brown in third, Stepan Kutnik in fourth. So currently the guys who are going fastest, who are beating their previous laps, are the top three. From position 4 downwards, it's typically actually cars that are going slower as they struggle through this first section. And now the timing board lights up as all the cars go through the first sector. So yeah, Christoph Verstappen in second place, pressuring Nate Newcomer, and we have Stefan Kutnik. Mark Jensen has moved into fifth position. Mark Jensen's driving in a Nissan. So we have, again, really good spread. It's BMW, Bentley, McLaren, Audi, Nissan, Audi, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Ferrari. We've lost our Porsche. We have a Honda in 11th. And our Aston Martins are 15th and 16th at the moment. I fancied the Aston Martins on this circuit, but struggling at the minute in 15th and 16th position. As we keep on board with Christoph Verstappen, seems to be maybe he's lost that initial first lap pressure that he was applying to Nate Newcomer. So we'll jump on board behind with Crawford Brown and see if he's making any headway. Lovely to hear the different sounds between the cars here, difference between the beefy Bentley and the fabulous sounding get your brain into it, McLaren. So far so good. Just checking on the weather for this race. It's pretty going to be clear for the next 30 minutes. So it'll just be a case of managing their own tyre pressures, making sure they don't overdrive the car, which ACC is very sensitive to. It has a very direct impact on your performance. So I'm going to go back into position 19 and let's jump on board here with Terry Agoris, who's made a massive 5 seconds improvement on his first lap. So he may have got caught up in a first lap incident and is now 5 seconds up. Still a reasonable gap between him and Stephen Dent in front of him, with Damien Wilk currently in 17th position, 1.4 seconds ahead of his best time as well. So there's Damien in the machine, driving around in 17th position, up on his previous time, but unfortunately for him, Paul Cole ahead of him is also up on his previous time. So these guys look like they might be chasing down the drivers in front. There is at least 3 or 4 drivers in front of them. Aaron Araday, Emil Shawburn, Phil Varley, who have all been dropping a little bit of time in this lap, so they may be actually catching them up in the group, but so far so good for everybody. We have Freddie Daly is in the pits. We have Tim Tarantino is in the pit. Now that could be retirement, I'm assuming it is. We have Kevin Shepherd, Sebastian Terentovic, Jeffrey Reinhardt, and a Jeff also in the pit. You can see someone exiting the pits there. So a fair spread of cars having to make that journey into the pit. You really don't want to be in the pit in a Spa 30-minute sprint because it's so costly, as I mentioned at the top of the broadcast here. So going back to the top, we still have Nate in first with Christophs in second, Crawford Brown in third and Mark Jensen in fourth, with Stepan Kutnik in third. So those guys still managing to stretch ahead their lead. Best time so far is a 2:18.027, which is by Nate, but he's not pink sectors. It's actually Crawford Brown who has the pink sector for the middle for sector 2. And you have to go down quite a way in the field to find the pink sector for sector 1. In fact, I can't see a pink sector. Pit wall isn't showing me that. And then back to racing. Let's go to the front of the grid here and let's have a look at Sam Harpham, who is a little bit down on his previous lap and looking very much like he's under attack here from behind. As you can see behind him, Martin Schaefer followed by James Lacey, both putting the pressure onto Sam into this section. Quite a difficult technical section, but we're on board here, I think, with the Ferrari, with a Lamborghini and a Ferrari behind. You know, these are accomplished cars for those tricky technical sections as we now run up the Paul Frere straight, and you can see nothing to be gained unless you're right underneath the rear of somebody here. So the Lambo not really catching, maybe in the final section of this corner, and then possibly as we hit the braking zone might have made a quarter of a second in just pure pace, possibly outbroke himself a little bit there, and had to compromise on the previous corner. And this is a great view to take if we can see whether James Lacey can make that position or protect that position. Yeah, he has done. Great racing. Skipping back slightly further as well, just watching some of the timings as they're coming through here. Phil Varley currently sitting in 13th position, 11th position, I beg your pardon, in his Lexus, with a Lexus right behind him. Question is, how aligned to their constructors are they? I wonder if Phil had a word with Emile Sherburne before as well, just to say, you know, we are teammates, so we should support each other. If that's the case, then Emile should be protecting the position ahead here and then closing that gap up when he feels like he's ready to. Phil Varley's up on his previous time by 0.7 seconds, so looking like he's a man on the move here. Let's just go back a driver and see what it's like looking out the back of Emile's car as Aaron Araday is under pressure also by Jake Moore in the Bentley, so that's a fight behind them for 13th place. A lot of defending going on there as Jake starts to build the pressure in his beautiful green Bentley. So just looking at the timings for these guys here, we've got we're on board with Emile. Emile has run a 2-minute and 20-second lap. Behind him, Aaron has run a 2-minute 20.133, hardly anything behind that. But strangely, Jake, who is pressuring in his big old Bentley, has put a fastest of 2:23, so 3 seconds slower. He's bound to break that this lap, given the pace that I can see he's on. And there you go, a 2:20.5. So Jake's starting to find his pace. Checking through, that was a green for that team. Yeah, just tracking the timing trends here on the top 4 guys. I think the general pattern here is that Nate is kind of comfortably holding off Christoph in 2nd place, and in 3rd position there Crawford Brown has been making some moves but has dropped off in this previous lap, so not really settling into a consistent lap, if you see what I mean. And Jake does look like he's about to make that move, and he slides up the inside, and that's a great pass to make and turns into Le Fagne. So Jake's up, he's moved up into 14th position. Ahead of him is Emile, his next target, and we'll see how he works through the pack here. So let's work forwards through the track, through the drivers here. Alexis following Alexis, who looks like he's chasing down Bart Matja who's currently running in 9th position, very much down on his previous lap. So let's take a little look inside and see how that defence is going. So this is Ferrari defending from Lexus. And I apologise if the in-game sound has been a little bit quiet. I'll just bring that up. It's a bad omen. It's the Connection Lost Racing team of Bart Matja in 7th place. Just ran a 2:21.3, a good 2 seconds off his fastest paced in the race so far. So maybe had some struggles previously. Just looking back, Phil Varley in 8th. We've lost Phil. Emil in 9th and Jake Moore behind. So that pack has expanded out. Let's move a little further up the field here. And track in with Mark Jensen. So Mark, the furthest forward Nissan, and for my American colleagues, Nissan. I really do like the Nissan. It's not the most popular car in the game, in the sim, but yeah, there's something enjoyable about driving it.
Behind the halfway mark.
Sounds
still a way
great.
to go.
So it looks like these guys at the front here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they are pegging each other pretty much. So it could come down to minor mistakes, it could come down to tyre management. As I'm checking through the board here, I can see that Jay Barton in 21st position has picked up a drive-through penalty. That will do him no good whatsoever. Let's just see if we can check what that was. There's been a couple of accidents. That's car number 636. So a drive-through could have been track limits, too many track limits. So we're just over the halfway mark. And we are currently being led by a BMW. A Bentley is in 2nd place, a McLaren in 3rd, a Nissan in 4th, an Audi in 5th, an Audi in 6th, a Ferrari in 7th, a Lexus in 8th and 9th, and a Bentley in 10th. So I can see 2 Bentleys, 2 Lexus, 2 Audis in the top 10. So they're the high scoring teams at the moment. Those not scoring so well so far would be Aston Martin, although they are in 11th and 12th, so that's pretty solid. Lamborghini also not really making a showing. Having said that, that's 13th, 15th and 16th place for the Lambos, so that's not a small haul, but it's really Porsche who are not showing anything at the moment, and Mercedes for that matter in 23rd and 26th position as far as I can see here. So yeah, plenty of opportunity for the teams to make changes here, but in this first race at Spa we're just over the halfway mark, and so far so good. A great first lap, really clean. There was a little pinch at the back of the grid into the final chicane just before the start-finish straight, but aside from that everyone had managed to negotiate the whole of that first track. Bearing in mind there's 44 cars on the track, that's pretty something. You don't often see non-contact in the real sport, let alone when you're sim racing it as well. A slight drop off in pace from the top guys here, just looking through last laps. Most of the last laps for Nate in first, Christoph in second and Crawford Brown in third are showing that they're dropping off from their faster earlier pace. I'm sure that's down to pressures and heat in the temperature in the tyres, maybe also a little bit of tiredness. But on the up, we're starting to see in 11th, Aaron Araday is faster than previous. He's actually on a green lap at the moment, as is Paul Cole following him. That does have a tendency to happen. Somebody's driving fast in front of you and it's very easy for you to drive faster yourself. So we're with Aaron Araday, currently in 11th place. He's half a second up on his previous best lap here, with Paul Cole some distance behind him but catching as well at 0.2. And actually probably the thing that's got Aaron so pacey is he can see 4 guys within striking distance going up the Paul Frere here, which is motivating, let's put it that way. Actually getting faster, so this is looking like a really solid lap for Aaron, whose fastest previous was a 2 minute 19.9, so he's really nailed it for this lap. Man on the move at the moment with 11 minutes to go. If he can hold this together, he'll blast his fastest lap, and that puts him comfortably at the bottom of the 2:19s. He's still at most a second off the top 5 paced cars, and actually the next fastest as we've missed has been Jake, who's moved up to 9th place. We tracked Jake earlier. He's making his way now. His fastest is a 2:18.888, which puts him in the 18 club, like the top 5 drivers. So definitely one to watch is Jake pushing his Bentley up the track here. As we see, I think we've had a bit of an incident up ahead. I'm seeing some changes of position here. Just checking in. No, still okay. Yep, just checking. So yeah, Jake is currently man on the move, as they say. Made it into 9th position. So the question is, with 10 minutes to go, and his pace increasing, as is Emil's behind him. So Emil is also feeling, this group is really pacing each other. It's Phil holding them off in car number 88 in 8th position, which is a Lexus. So this is a Bentley splitting the 2 Lexuses, which we thought were going to maybe have some kind of entente cordiale for this race, and actually get it to a situation where they could kind of manage their position together as a team. But Jake split them in 2, and he looks like he's going to start putting some pressure on Phil Varley in front. Comfortably up front still is Nate, with Christoph behind. Let's just do a quick track back. Nate here currently running in 1st position. Let's go to Helicam so we can get a clear view of his gaps. He looks like he's settled into a really solid pace here consistently. That's his last lap at a 2:18.66. Most of his laps, I think, if we just take a quick look at Nate's laps, that button, times 2:18, 2:18, 2:18, 2:18, 2:18. You get the message, right? Every single lap Nate has put in a 2:18 something or other. Nearly made it into the 2:17s on lap 3. But it's this level of high quality consistency that's giving Nate a comfortable lead. He's starting to stretch ahead of Christoph, and if I just switch over to Christoph here, you'll get the picture here. So this is our fastest Bentley. Also 2:18s, but noticeably 2:19s in the last few laps. So Christoph has dropped a couple of laps, which may have given Crawford a little bit of incentive. So let's jump on board with Crawford and watch as he starts to put the pin on here. While he's doing that, I'll just take a look at Crawford's timings to see whether he's a man on the move here at all. Crawford driving in the McLaren, and he's had lots and lots of 2:18s, a couple of 2:19s, but of note his last 2 laps have been 2:18s, near to his fastest laps. So he's been starting to get a bit of a lick on as we get into the final quarter of this race, with the Nissan of Mark Jensen right behind him. These are the way the scoring is created is to allow for kind of a striation of scoring, if you like. So at the very top here, if I just quickly check the score charts, what we're looking at is a scoring system where position 1 gets 80 points, 80 points. Position 2 gets 75 points. Position 3 gets 70 points. Position 4 gets 67. Position 5 gets 65. And then we start moving down to the point where it's only 1 or 2 point differences. So for example, 6 is 63, 7th is 61, 8th is 59. You get the picture. So the higher points, the higher gaps to be gained are clearly in that top 5 positions. And remember that each driver is scoring these points for themselves individually, because that's the way we like it. But more importantly is for this particular series, these are all accumulated against the constructors. So right now, looking through the brands in the top 10, it's BMW, Bentley, McLaren, Nissan, Audi, Ferrari, Lexus, Bentley, Lexus. That looks to me like it's probably Yeah, very close between Audi running in 5th and 6th, Bentley in 2nd and 8th, and now I think maybe in 3rd position the Lexus in 8 and 10. So yeah, it's going to be a very balanced thing, but of course this is a 2-race evening, so we will jump into a quali after this session and then we'll go racing again for the second 30 minutes. And as I speak, I'm looking at, oh dear, I think Stepan might have had a problem. He may well have had an off. I saw his time just dropping off badly there, and he's moving down 7th, 8th position here, is dropping away as he's being passed in the track. I don't know whether he's having a technical issue or he's absolutely battered the car. Just going to check in, see where his timings had actually dropped off. Yeah, difficult to tell, but you can tell he's definitely nowhere near the pace he should be right now. So let's just check if we can see anything else wrong with the car. It doesn't look in good shape, does it? So Stefan, who was running in the top 5, has dropped off currently 17 seconds off his previous lap pace, so had an issue. As we check through, let's go down the line here, just check. Jake Moore still pinned in 9th position now. He was on the move, but I think he might be reaching the pack that is matching that pace level. I'm just taking a little look through. We've got Kai Banks is improving on his fastest time. So Kai running in 19th. That's why he's running his fastest time. He's got a group of drivers right on his backside. Let's have a little look inside of Matt Hyam's car as we watch this section develop here. So with 4 minutes, this means there's 2 laps to go. These guys will be pumped to try and make that extra position. We're looking at the race in 22nd, 21st, 20th and 19th here. But you can tell each one of them fancies their chance to get ahead there, while Kai, who set his personal fastest, has now dropped off. So he was very fast through sector 1, had some difficulties through sector 2, and he's now second off. So they'll all be feeling the moment is now to make this pass. So let's keep a track on this and see whether there's any passing moves to be made into the chicane as I track the other times at the same time. Defensive positioning going on there from Majzewski, who forces Cruikshank to take a very left line and then dips into the pits just to confuse, because Cruikshank has a drive-through penalty, probably unbeknownst to the other drivers, or maybe if they're paying attention. So that's given Majzewski the opportunity to put the pressure onto Kai Banks here. Let's see if he can make it through, keeping an eye on it from this car as I flick through to go next driver. That looks like a slightly damaged Porsche as well, honestly. As we watch to see if there's any space to be gained going through Radion, will he have the chance here to make this move? It looks like he does have the run on Kai going up the hill there. Kai takes a very neutral line down the middle, which is a very, very sensible position. No weaving, as you can tell. Kai just kept himself really straight right down the middle of the pack, broke as late as he could, and just managed to keep that from Dominic, which is good racing. In the meantime, of course, as usual, Matt Hyam gets that opportunity to close it. This is great. Kai not giving, Dominic not giving up, and Kai positioning his car. He's going to keep that inside line if he can just keep the throttle in. It looks to me like, oh, this is fabulous. Side by side as they go wide, and as we've been watching that, if you both blinked, you'd see Matt Hyam, who looks like he was right in the opportunity there to make that happen, and Kai Banks currently in, sorry, just checking there, yeah, Kai Banks is slotted between them, overtaken by Dominic. Great racing and very nicely done. And it's one of those things, I always mention it, and it's worth mentioning 1,000 more times, is passing somebody is not just the skill of the driver behind who makes an amazing dive bomb move and makes it stick. It's often a negotiation. You can be mid-corner with another driver and putting everything you've got to keep your car on the track, being as defensive as you possibly can, but at some point there's some kind of negotiation. In takes place where you either cede the corner or you stick with your guns and possibly make a mistake, as we watch the pressure being reapplied by Kai, who goes to the outside position. If you can make the stick on the outside of that first part of the chicane, you get the inside line for the second, but unfortunately in this case, not to be the case. Matt Hyam losing a bit of traction there as he got excited about catching them up, and why not? It's a minute to go, and this is for position. So let's do a quick rundown, check where we are. I can see Paul Cole is much faster than he was, so let's take a little look at Paul. He's making progress. He's in 9th position running through here. So it looks to me, unless something significant happens and I run through here with 58 seconds to go, Nate Newcomer is currently comfortably in the lead here. I see that as a 4.2 second gap that he has on Christopher Streppen in second place. So that would be BMW over Bentley. And then we have, after Chris in second place, we have Mark Jensen in third, who's running in a Nissan, and just keeping Crawford Brown away. Let's see if anything happens with that. Crawford looks like he might have a chance. There's 23 seconds to go. If you're going to do it, you're going to do it now. Looks too far back for the toe, but who knows how late a breaker he is. No defensive happening here from Mark, but just great racing. Tags each other, and that is the chicane. Just tracking to see whether we have one more lap to go. I think we do. Nate has already passed the start-finish line, and he is on his final lap, which means Crawford does have another chance to make this stick. So let's stick with that for a second while I run through the drivers. We have Marko Badowski in 5th position, Bart Matcher in 6th, Phil Varley in 7th, Jake Moore in 8th, Emil Schwabum in 9th, and Aaron Araday in 10th. We had a great start to the race earlier, and one of them dropped out. I'm trying to remember where we are in terms of the score chart here. Just checking in the pits just to see who that's. That's Stepan Kutnik, that's correct. It was Stepan Kutnik, car number 25, now currently in the pit, which I assume is a retirement very much at the top end of the pack for most of the first half of this race, and then had some problems. Once we're through the checkered flag, I'll see what I can do about reading through, because obviously the screen is only showing us the top 23 drivers, and I've got the other timing boards in front of me. But this looks like the best chance that we had of Nate getting overtaken was in that first section of the race, where he was under huge pressure from Christoph, but he managed to keep it, and he kept his distance and managed to pull away. So great start for Nate in this first race. Looks like he's going to peg this one and make it his own. So I'm going to estimate here, of the 44 races, we will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a good 38 finishes, maybe even more finishes, just estimating. So great racing from Nate Newcomer. I can't see that Crawford can make this stick. He's got his final corners coming up now. We'll see how that works out. Oops. Oops. That's my mistake. End of race.
Green light, go, go, go.
So, we saw Nate Newcomer take that, which was a great race. Obviously have lost all of the scoreboards for that, but that's fine. It was a great race by Nate, and now with 0 time to have a rest, we're bang into quali again. So if you weren't sweating enough driving that 30 minutes around Spa, you're going to be sweating now, because you're straight back into quali. So let's just get that overlay out of the way, and I will take a quick break. Yep, I'm old. That wasn't a break. So if you're in Team BMW, you'll be quite happy right now, which means Joshua Barton, Xavier Eugenie and Piet van Dormalen will be very happy with Nate's performance in that first race, as we saw Christoph in the Bentley and Jake Moore in the Bentley, both in the top 10 as well, who have Lennart Grosso and Mardal as their race partners. So, sad for Stepan, who was driving really well in the top 5 in his Audi. Alistair Clinch, Marko Badowski and AJF also part of the Audi outfit. Who do we have else in the top 5 or 6 there? Looking through, Phil had a good finish. So, let's just take a moment to have a little look through quali so far. Currently running in first for our second quali session is Martin Schaefer. If I've got that right on my timing board. No, nobody's actually passed the line yet. So Stepan gone pink with a 2:18.471, which is very fast. We only just made the early 2:18s for the first quali session, and here come the other 2:18s. These are great times coming through here. So in second place is Stavros Konstantinidis, a Jeff in third, Sam Harpham in fourth, and Damien Wilk in fifth. So that's solid, with Nate Newcomer stepping his mark back into the racing here with a 2:18.027, nearly made it into the 2:17s, and he would be the first to do so. Jake Moore finding his form again in second place with a 2:18.048, a Nat's whisker off of Nate's time. That's fabulous to see a Honda up there. So we have Radek Schuler, who's put the Honda on third at the minute with a 2:18.291. That's looking good for a top 10 pace, but notably their pace is quicker in this second quali session. So let's take a quick look at Christoph running in his Bentley. So like I said earlier, Bentley team, is got to be quite happy with the results from the last one. That's made up of Mad Al, Lennart Grossler, Jake Moore and Christoph Verstappen, so some really fast cars running in the Bentley for this session. Fabulous looking machine, fabulous sounding machine, known as the Boatley because it's considerably larger than the rest of the competition. It's surprisingly light though for a bulky unit. It does look big, but my experience has always been pretty impressive on the brakes. I went to watch a couple of the GT World GT3 series in the UK this year, and I'm sad that I only got to see this car once. It was damaged for the second race, or not fit for racing, but yeah, quite an incredible machine. What you'd call on the comfortable size for a GT3 car, but yeah, fabulous to see it racing here. We are 2 minutes left of quali. There you go, as I spoke. Christoph has put the first 2:17 on the board, shortly followed by Bart Matja, who's made a second place with a 2:17. So that is really flipped it up. With Bentley first, Ferrari second, Beamer third, Bentley fourth. Wow, we can see a trend here. This Bentley team is going to be tough. In fifth, great to see a Lamborghini. The Lamborghini of, no, it's just changed. Jake Moore's gone 2:17.658, taking the lead in this quali session with with the Honda of Radek Schuler just behind with a 2:17.718. Times are going down. So now we're looking at Bentley, Honda, Bentley, Ferrari, Beamer, Lamborghini, McLaren. No Ferraris here, no Aston Martins here, no Audi, no Mercedes here, no Nissans here. Come on, lads. 1 minute of quali left, and looking like this could be Jake's. We've still got a lap left at least comfortably of these guys, so let's look, see if anyone is out there on a faster lap than their previous. Jake keeping the lead here at the front. Just looking through the track, yeah, I can see a grouping of Astons there, 11th and 12th. First Lexus is in 13th place, previously in the top 5 for top 10 for quite a considerable time, so we're looking for an interesting split there as Martin Schaefer puts that Lamborghini on third position, 0.189 second behind Jake in pole position. So closing out on the end of quali, we'll enter into our second 30-minute race of the evening with a little break for setup times. Going well so far. And there's the first Mercedes in the top 10, which is the Mercedes of Justin Ladley in 8th position. Yeah, quite different. Now we have 3 Lamborghinis in the top 10, so they're starting to show their pace in this second race. That's going to shake it up because we have lost significantly the BMW. There's only one BMW, that's Nate's in 6th place. What I thought was a blistering lap at 2:18.027 has been usurped by 5 other cars, with our fastest lap, Jake Moore, at 2:17.658 at the moment. So it looks to me like Christoph is on a fast lap. He is 0.3 seconds up on his previous. That would, if he can hold this, that would put him in pole position. So I'll track Christoph as he goes through up into the final chicane here. If he can nail the chicane entrance and exit, this would give him pole position. Christoph crossing in the line here in the beautiful Bentley goes first by 0.093 of a second. I think I got fluky there by picking up on the 2 fastest drivers as they turned into the final corners in both quali, so I'm patting my own back right now. Great racing again, and keeping his powder dry, Christoph takes the Bentley into pole position, which means everyone should pay attention, because we have a Bentley in first position and a Bentley in second position, and they could be making their very early stamp on the Constructors thing here, Constructors Championship here. But interestingly, let's see how they tackle each other through the first few corners. I can't think for a moment that they're going to have such loyalty to Bentley as not to race each other, but let's see. Both great drivers. Thanks for the tips, guys. I have managed to work out how to do the gapping as well, but that always seems to come up second hand. So at least you've got gaps on the screen now, and it's not shouting in your ear anymore. So here we go. 2 minutes, set up, relax, and if you're really quick you may be able to get a loo visit. I don't think so, but yeah, mental bit of preparation here for this final section. So we are, let's check that through. That's Bentley. Honda, well, I'm so happy there's a Honda in the top, in the second row there, with a Lamborghini behind, a McLaren, a Ferrari, the Beamer, and the AMG just looking down through the pack there. Good spread, but these guys seem to be the guys to track down here. Christoph and Jake in pole position, and Nate, who was our previous race winner, down in 7th. So even if he gets free of the pack in this first couple of laps, he's going to be hard put to chase the 2 leaders down, because even in the first lap it's possible to get a second gap just because of grid spread, with such a long circuit and being careful around some of the fast corners. If these two negotiate each other in the front row, they could gap the rest of them quite quickly if they can hold on to the lead. Checking through the timing screens, let's see if we still have as many racers joining this second race. We have 42 drivers. I do see a couple that are in the pits on the scoring chart, but yeah, that's still a significant grid to get us through here. But you know, once you've done this once, you've done it before. So these guys have negotiated a first lap pretty comfortably before. I'll track back through the circuit as we go through, just to see how make sure there's no major incidents through the circuit. It's currently 19 degrees track circuit because it's in game 7 p.m. So temperature is dropping. Performance could improve, depends on tyre performance per car and how they've set their cars up. But again, a clear race, not expecting any adverse weather changes here in a 30-minute sprint. No mandatory pit stops. So any pit stop that is picked up is going to be pretty brutal on your finishing position, with a 2-minute and 20 lap time and probably a 3-minute pit time. So stop-go penalties, as I mentioned in race 1, are pretty damaging to your finishing position as we track our leaders going round the first corner, down the hill, keeping their distance from each other, line of stern, as we move across into the old start-finish straight here. Either riding the brake to get some brake temperature in, hopefully not stabbing the brake and weaving. I want to keep avoiding that. Look at that, looks absolutely fantastic as we cross the finish line and go green, green, green. Looks to me like Christoph's covered off the first corner straight away with Jake in second, and we're a line abreast, and it looks to me like the Honda's made that through, and in 4th position is Martin Schaefer. So good safe start at this end of the grid. Let's go back a little ways through the grid just to see how that works out, make sure that everybody else is making it through. All good so far as we go into the first compressed braking zone, still keeping it safe. Great to see. No massive collisions. Slight spinner, but it looks like he's held that. Great work, nice handling. Probably lost a position if anything, and tracking back still, everyone looking pretty good. Slightly running wide there, stunning looking Aston, and then I'm seeing a gap. So now we've got a gap here from 9th, so there probably was an issue back in the track. Yeah, I missed it, apologies for that, but somewhere back down the circuit I can see it here. We've had some issues at the top of Radillon. Many cars in damage situations cruising along. We are yellow flags here all through this sector, so a lot of damaged cars as we continue in the race here so far. So yeah, that could be quite brutal for many of these drivers. You can see there Some barely able to get the cars going. That one's dragging his heels, leaving a darkie all over the track. Yeah, and as they pit, we restart. That was too many cars in one incident, which means we will go back to a grid restart. And no doubt in the drivers channel, somebody will be having a stern word with everyone. Extremely difficult with this many cars on track to keep it tidy, especially when you're feeling a bit more racy in the second race, having spent the last 40 or 50 minutes going around this circuit. Starting to take liberties with track limits possibly, and these tyres are cold for this first session, so it's very good to make sure we maintain that discipline through the back of the track. That looked like it was pretty brutal to me, and well spotted by the admin controller there, and made sure that we reset before we got too far into the race. A chance to cool down. Yeah, great to see the track from inside the cars as you go back through the circuit here. You see how many cars are in front. I'm only at position 24. I'm sure the circuit almost goes around the corner at the bottom here. It's just tracking back here to position number 42 with his Matt Hyam. Imagine trying to negotiate through all of that lot. I'm tempted to take us through the first few corners in this position, given what I just saw, but I'm going to stick to the front and mid of the grid just to keep a track of how the first cars are getting through, because if they're losing places, we do end up, or if they're getting in incidents, we do end up with carnage. So hopefully race stewards, clerk of the course has had a good word with everyone, and we're feeling a bit more comfortable. 12 seconds to start the second race. We'll go line astern. Start, finish straight again. Higher levels of concentration now, I'm assuming. Nobody wants to be hitting the wall, nobody wants to be crashing. As we green for the second race, and they're off. And I think Jake may have lost a position there. He's lost a position to the Honda of Radek Schuller. So Radek's through in his Honda, so split the pack. Jake will be wanting to reset the balance as soon as he can, so let's track that as we go up into the corner at the top here, which is Lecum at the end of Kemmel Straight. Jake has not been able to make any move there, but it's very close at the top there, so let's just track back a little bit just to see how we're getting on. You can see it's all good so far at this part of the circuit. I'm going to go back down to Jake Zhang in 25th, all good. Let's go back to Marko Badowski, all good. So everyone's made it through Radion, up Kemmel, and out through the top of Legum and Malmedy. And I'll return to the front of the track just to see how we're getting on at the front. But it's Christopher Streppen from Radek Schuller, and you can see Jake Moore under pressure here from Bart Matja as the Ferrari tries to make a move up the inside there. And putting some pressure on with Nate in 5th position. So Nate's made up a position, I think, off the grid, and he's put himself in contention as Jake starts to find his tyre temperatures and gets himself settled into his pace. So great move by Radek Schuller off the grid there, took the chance that he could to get in front, or get in between the two Bentleys. So now we are split. Just noticed that pit wall is dead. Just check. restarting pit wall. Sorry for the delay. Yep, not sure what's happening there. I'm going to bail on that. I can't get pit wall to restart. I'll just return. So we are looking at Christopher Steffen, who's got Radek Schuller behind with Jake Moore, Bart Matcher, Nate Newcomer, Martin Schaefer, James Lacey, Stavros Konstantinidis, Jacob Tarantino and Stepan Kupnik holding up your top 10. So Stepan, who was right in the top 10 in the first race, is dropping back. He's made it into 11th, so just been overtaken by Justin Madley. Top 10 changing, times coming down as we look here at the front end of the race. That was contact. Jake just got across there, I think, and taking advantage of the situation. Looked like Nate was going to make his move. So Nate currently running in 5th here, somewhat behind. Just checking in. A couple of technical issues my end. Broadcast is just packed over as well. Should be alright to keep tracking through. So Jake Moore here in 3rd position, followed by Matcher in the Ferrari. Looking like a good competition at the start there, but you can actually see what looks to me like a great challenge coming up from Nate. So Nate really wanting to get back into the podium positions is putting the pressure on for fighting for 4th position, while we see ahead of them Jake Moore keeping track on Schuller in 2nd position. So some great racing at the top here. Martin Schaefer in 6th, Lacey in 7th, Tarantino in 9th, Konstantinidis in 9th, and Madley in 10th. So a good start to the race. Still plenty of cars in on the circuit here. I think there's something like 37 still running, 38 still running, I think. As we are 5 minutes into the second race, and the gap extending at the top there. You can see 1.6 Christoph has made on Schuller in 2nd place. That's going to be a chance surely. Nate's got the run in that meaty BMW up the Kemmel Straight. A defensive position being taken from Bart Mathieu, which you wouldn't do, but this is going to be a straight braking race into this final section here as Nate tries to get on the outside, maintain momentum on the outside so he can snick the inside, but he's having none of it. Bart's keeping himself on the inside for this following corner. Great driving, did exactly what you'd hope. A great solid defence there from Mathieu as we come down the hill into Bruxelles. So currently pacing each other here. Jake looks like he's continuing to put pressure on Schuller in front, and Bart now struggling just a little bit to keep ahead of Nate Newcomer. Looking pretty good as we track back a little bit further in the track. Let's take a little look at how that looks from outside. Times are doing well. I'm just going to make a quick check, see if I can restart the broadcast tool again. It's having none of it. So we are 7 minutes into the race. You can see Bart is under massive pressure here from Nate. It looks like he's still having to defend his position here. This is fighting for fourth position, gone wide. Looks like Nate's had the door open for him, and there he strikes. Let's take a little look what that looks like from inside. He might be able to keep this together, but it's not looking promising at the moment. Now falling back as the Ferrari gets slightly dropped. I'd be impressed if this Ferrari can stick with the Beamer up the Kemmel Straight here. Yeah, just impossible to get any quicker than a BMW, but wow, that was late braking. He might have slightly left that too late. He's had to bail, and you can see he's kept himself safe, waited for Nate to go past. That's good driving. I think he just miscalculated his braking point. My suspicion is Nate saw that coming, avoided the action, and there's a recovery now for Mattia, as he's lost a couple of seconds, maybe there, at least half a second, on Nate, who has made his way through nice and gently here. He's currently running in fourth, our previous race winner in the Beamer, making it through to fourth. So as it stands, it's Bentley, Honda, Bentley, Beamer, Ferrari, Aston. There you go. There's our first Aston. Tarantino in sixth position. Nice work, bringing that Aston up into sixth position. But he has a Lamborghini, a Nissan, an Audi, and a Ferrari behind him. And running through the field, it's the first Porsche is in 11th, and the first McLaren is in 12th. So just tracking back, the first Lexus is in 18th. So the Lexus team having a bit of a tough second race. McLaren's also out of the top 10, as are Porsche. So it's pretty much a top 10 that has double Bentley, double Ferrari, and that is it. So they're the two teams fighting in the top 10 for the majority of the points. And looking down here, yeah, the Bentleys are pretty much only at the top. The next Bentley down is in 15th with Matt Al driving that, so there's quite a stretch here, but Mercedes pretty much nowhere to be seen, actually in 26th position as De Vries takes that through. Great racing so far. Let's just do a little quick check on some of the other positions. Heading behind, because Bart is lost his position, lost some pace, lost some position. Christoph is extending his lead ahead of Schuller in second place. But let's jump on board with Jensen in his Nissan as he gets better pull through the top of Radeon. But this Lamborghini has quite a high top end, does tend to stretch its legs very late on. He's matched, but it's hard to see. Let's go external. Will he make this corner? Great driving, went round the outside and made it stick, but the Lamborghini right on it there. Jensen just being able to hold him off. Looks to me like that's going to continue to run for a little while there as we jump on board with Konstantinidis, who was negotiating that corner, now putting pressure back onto the Nissan. Nice close racing here, and a good spread of drivers. Great to see the driving changing all the time. So why don't we take a little look at Team Lamborghini. So early days in the championship. Obviously, most teams came into the event with 0 points. So Team Lamborghini are Martin Schaefer, Damien Wilk, Stavros Konstantinidis, who we're on board with, still putting pressure on, and James Lacey. That's a 4-man team here running for Lamborghini. Just the most stunning sounding car, like a songbird as it flies through the revs, and just such a striking design, brutal lines, exactly what you'd expect from a Lamborghini car. That I remember as a child having these types of cars as posters on my wall, always a favourite. If you've got a stupid amount of money to spend on the sports car, go big and drive the one that looks like something out of a space film. Lamborghini currently looking like they're pretty good in the standings as it stands at the moment. So that's Konstantinidis in 8th place, holding off Stepan, who was having a really solid race in the previous race and is making his way through. I think he was holding a really solid position in that Audi in the top half of the top 10, if you like, in the first race, and then something happened and he just started to drop away. I didn't have a chance to have a look at his stint times or anything like that. But yeah, starting to make some really good progress here. Since you see the damage he must have incurred earlier in the race. No pit wall for me, so I can't track his times or his sectors. I don't know what that is. I'll look into that. And it's pretty much, for me, it looks like Christoph is walking gently away with this now. 3.2 seconds from Schuller in second place, with Jake in third. Actually looking like he might be starting to put a bit of pressure onto Schuller in second. So let's move up the field here through Constantinidis, Jensen. Actually, that's looking like an interesting fight as well, as he pushes on Tarantino in sixth position. Always a different choice to make for Spa. It has some extremely long straights where you need grunt, top end and torque, and then there are some really technical corners, slow speeds like this, where you're balancing the car. It needs to have poise, it needs to ride curbs comfortably, it needs to be able to give you opportunity to get on the power quickly. It looks to me like Jensen is making his move as he goes around Stavolo. Gets Stavolo right, then he could make a pass as we go up Port Frere. This will be worth watching. Just making sure you pick the right car, and the car that suits you is the car that you should drive, not the car that always suits the track. So I find that the Nissan and the Aston Martin seem to be quite balanced. Oh, and a spinner. That looked like Jake off the side there, if my eyes didn't deceive me. Definitely looked like a green Bentley. In any case, we'll see as the timings come through. But we're still tracking. Jensen could not make that move on Tarantino as we came across came up the line there, and as sure as it is, you see Jake Moore's name dropping down the scoreboard on the left. So that's a real problem for Bentley Racing, who were holding first and third position in this race, having qualified on the front row of the grid and kept their point score coming through from race one as well. Jake has pitted, which means he's going to be out of contention for the final 15 minutes of this race. Even with the pace that he can deliver, it'll be amazing for him to get back in the top 10. Kai Banks has also pitted, but that's for a drive-through. He must have had an issue. Let's watch the Kemmel Straight as Tarantino puts a defence on the position here, going up towards Lecumbe. Again, let's go external. Let's see if he can make this stick. On the inside for the second half, door to door, and it looks to me like that's been shut off. Great driving again, but the pressure continues as these two squabble for fifth position, with Matcha up the road here. Another opportunity there, the door half open. Was that open? Was it not open? You know, when you're the car behind, it's wide open. When you're the car in front, you're convinced you closed it. But this battle continues to rage. This is fantastic viewing. As we take a look. Oh, they're next to each other now. I missed it as the Nissan slides up the inside of the Aston. I'm sure this is not over. Very difficult. You have to be extremely skillful sim racer to race this close. There's a couple of meters between those two cars. Making your braking point, making their braking point, making sure that you don't punt the car in front of you. But everything that's happening here is lending itself beautifully into Constantinidis' hands, who sat right behind them, tracking the whole thing and waiting for his opportunity. Always good to see overtakes and issues happening in front of you. That feeling when you're watching two cars battle in front of you, and that always hope that something's going to go wrong and you're going to slide through and take two positions with no effort or risk at all. As we watch deep braking there by the Lamborghini. That's fantastic. Absolutely nailed it right onto the apex as we accelerate out, and Constantinidis looks like he's starting to really get a hunt for this one here. So great battling in the top 10. I'll take a breather there just to have a little look back down the track here, see where the other cars are really packing in. But this looks to me like the real battle here at the moment for 5th, 6th and 7th. Christopher Streppen on his 7th lap, 3.1 seconds ahead. We've already gone through the halfway mark of race 2 of this evening's Constructors Championship, and it's heating up. We've had high drama in the second race, as we saw Jake Moore putting the push all the way through the race here on the current leader, Christopher Streppen, until he must have thrown it off or made a mistake, and that's fabulous racing in front. How much closer can that get? Great to watch, but you can see again from the Lamborghini's perspective, just an opportunity to close up. When you're defending each other, when you're in your own personal battle, you're dropping time, you're dropping race position, road position, you're losing your braking points, and this always puts itself in the opportunity of the car behind. But I mean, what a great battle between these two guys. They're making it stick when they pass each other. Of note, Nate Newcomer, he's made his way through. I missed it, but Nate's now in second position behind Christopher Streppen, and so he's pushed Schuller into third position. So you remember that Schuller was on the second row of the grid and jumped into second place before Radion. So he had passed Jake Moore into second position and was holding that for most of this race, but he's got separated from Nate. I think that must be a mistake given the 2.3 seconds that he's behind. Oh, that looked close to me. Let's take a little look from outside at this great nose-to-tail battle between Tarantino in 5th, Jensen in 6th, and Constantinidis in 7th. So that's Aston on Nissan on Lamborghini, and if I'm not mistaken, Stepan Kutnik is now starting to get a taste for this in the background. You can see him from their helicopter view there, starting to tracking that gap. He's now he's 2.1 seconds behind Constantinidis. Let's keep an eye on that to see whether he wants a part of this action as well. Could make this a four-way battle for 5th place by the end of the next lap if he keeps his eye on, and the pressure continues to mount here on Tarantino, who has to defend hard into La Source. Something's brewing here, can't help but feel it. They're driving so well at such close proximity to each other, no contact made, really good respect. But look at that, flat out, as we see Constantinidis feeling the taste for his opportunity, and he's right in the mix now as the Aston drifted out, and I don't think it gets much closer than this. 3 drivers going up Kemmel Straight. I think he's going to make a safe defence of that, and that's good. Kept their order as Stepan starts to creep into the picture, and if you were watching, you'll see the tail end of Bart Matcha ahead of them, and that's a really brilliant slide through there. The Lamborghini makes his move, pushes through. Tarantino had a tough lap to deal with here. He's lost 2 places already since La Source, and now he's got Stepan Kutnik in the mix just to really mix it up. This is absolutely fantastic. Let's go to the front of this. The front of this, and take a look at what it looks like battling behind Jensen's car as we look at Tarantino, Constantinidis and Kutnik all having their fun. Fabulous racing. Jumping on board with Stepan, he must be thinking his everything's working out for him now. The cars are coming to him in the late phase of this race with 9 minutes to go of this second race. Track temperatures dropped by a degree since we started this race, might not be that noticeable in the car. We have Christoph Streppen who is ahead of Nate Newcomer, so it's Bentley on BMW, on Schuller who's in the Honda. He looks like he might be getting dropped by our front 2 men as we watch Constantinidis put the pressure on again. Jensen's having to work really hard. Tarantino, I mean, is having to work very hard here to keep these positions. And you see the squeeze. Can I keep him off me? But that's really solid defence, giving each other room. The apex was there to open up, and he had to let it open, and he's let Stepan have a side-to-side as we go up Eau Rouge and into Radion. And meanwhile, that's given Jensen the opportunity. He stretched his legs ahead of this group, and the loser out of that battle has been Tarantino. He was pushed away 2 laps ago. He was at the front of this group, and now he's looking at the back of them. But having said that, Constantinidis, who is our Lamborghini driving up the Kemmel corner right now into Lake Coombe, has just picked up a drive-through. So the drama continues. A probably made too much of a wide position on the previous Radeon exit as they were going through, and may have been the accumulation of 2 or 3 of those off-track moves that's giving him a drive-through. A drive-through is going to pretty much ruin his chance of a top 10, I would think. Which, all in all, as you can see, he's still straying considerably off track there. Excuse me. Well, this battle really panned out. It looked to me like Konstantinides was going to get a push on. You can see he's gapped these two quite quickly, but if we go forwards into Jensen running in the Nissan, who was in that battle only a few moments ago, he has taken this opportunity to get fresh air, and he's starting to put a press on. The question is he closing in the gap on Matja in 4th position? So let's just take a second here and look a bit further back through the track. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go driver by driver because I don't have complete control anymore. Let's take a look at Aaron Araday running in 18th position. He's looking like he's wanting 17th from Barton, so that's Porsche. Sorry, I missed that. That's not Porsche. Aaron driving in the Aston and putting pressure on the Beamer. Taking a lot of curb there on the inside, seeing if he can make that stick, but that cost him because right behind him is Marco Badowski, who is going to take this opportunity if he can. Currently in 19th place, so Marco, we're now driving up Blanchimont into the final corners before the start-finish straight, and no move to be made there. So let's take a little look further back on the track. Might get the undercut, actually. Having said that, that was a really nice line to take on the exit, and he's got himself side to side here. Marco looking like he might get a chance to outbrake if he can keep this stuck on the outside. He seemed very generous there. He gave a lot of space. That was very gentlemanly. He maybe could have taken a little bit more corner there, kept the pace up, kept it stuck on the outside. It is harder, there's less traction on the outside, but if you can hold your line close enough, but he looked like he was very generous there to Barton in front of him, and Barton looks like he may have lost a little bit of position on the Radeon exit as we go through Kemmel and up Kemmel Straight. Is the Audi got enough punch here to make this? It doesn't look to me like he's in range. So just checking forwards here, I just noticed Tarantino in 9th place. He's picked up a drive-through as well. So if I go, so that means had 3 really horrible laps as Tarantino got mugged by about 3 or 4 of the other guys, and then has picked up a drive-through. And having said that, so has Weaver in 14th place. So there's a lot of places to inherit here. If you're Marco Badowski sitting in 19th, you could be sniffing 15th, and on Mad Al here, who's a little way along the road, 5 minutes to the rest of this race, as this battle continues to rage for 19th place, for 18th place. No, for 17th place. I can see drive-throughs pinging up across the board here as everyone gets regrets the first 3 laps of off tracks, let's say, as these 3 guys start to really compress. Difficult place here to turn in. Kept some good space there as the BMW stretches its leg, but the Aston is no slouch, and the Audi clinging on as they go through Blanchimont now and into the deep braking zone. Not easy to make this stick. Best opportunity is to go deep on the outside and try and take the inside for the second corner, but there's a very high chance of giving that corner to the guy behind you if you make the mistake. And again, Marco makes a really great exit. That Audi really driving hard out of the apex, and Marco really nailing that exit point. Very early braking there. Wow, that caught everyone out there. I think nobody was expecting Barton to brake that early. That put them both off, and Marco has gone through into the position, and Araday has dropped a place. So it's actually Araday in 19th and Badowski in 18th, if my reckoning works out. So that seemed to be an early braking there, completely legitimate from Barton as he went into La Source, but it really spooked the other two drivers behind him. So seeing that Tarantino and Weaver are serving their drive-throughs in the pit, and as we look up, Konstantinidis has not yet served his. So let's go back a little way. Sorry, back a little way. Excuse the clicks. He's got a drive through as well. A number of cars in the pits. Apologies for not picking them up. I've lost some of my data. Cruikshanks, Jones, Varley, Reinhardt, Madley, all in the pits, looking like potential retirees. As does Jake Zhang, I think, possibly in the pits there. So we've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 potential drivers with a couple more DTs to serve. Let's take a little check through here. That's Gooch there in 24th in the Ferrari. Looks like he's under some pressure from Koches. Moving up, Tarantino, who has served his drive-through. Remember, he was really having a tough couple of laps there earlier, and he's got Damien Wilk in front of him just up the road here. Kudos to Damien, by the way, while I'm on the stream. Damien's put so much work into the Constructor Series. We don't normally shout out to each other, but great work from Damien to make sure that we all enjoy this experience to the max. This Constructor Series is going to unfold in a number of different ways, aside from the drama of Jake throwing it off the track when he was sitting in second place in race 2 here. If we go up through the track, we're looking at Jeff in 19th, who is on the back end of Prieto. In front of him in a Nissan. A little lift there. Maybe if it carried that through, he might have been able to put this into it, but great defensive line being taken by Prieto. He's going to compromise himself on the turn-in, which means he might get the undercut, but he's blocked the inside. Nowhere to go. But again, compressing, and you can see the Lamborghini. That's great drive off the outside there, though. From Jeff, he's looking like he's, I think that's the Audi's got real push in that corner, but you can see the compression. What a great corner there from Jeff. He just clips the wall, and you can see contact behind. There was a little bit of issue. They didn't see each other coming across. I don't think it was intentional, just not quite actually fully aware of each other's proximity. And the Aston managed to hold that very well. He's probably dislocated his elbow on his rig. As we see, this is Tarantino, I'm tracking this story, right? This guy's getting bruised now as he passes the Lamborghini up Kemmel Straight, getting a sniff to pass these guys in front of him. This is fabulous racing. We're 16 seconds for the end, so it's probably worth me going forwards and just checking how the front of the pack is working out. So our leader, Christopher Streppen, has started the first last lap, with Nate Newcomer behind, 1.2 seconds behind, with Schuller, who was getting dropped through that race in his Honda, in third position. We're looking at Bert Matcher in the Ferrari, chasing down Schuller. I'm not sure he's going to make that much distance over this final lap, so let's just track back a couple of drivers to see if there's any other final lap action. Oh wow, so that was Cinch, sorry, that's the game being a pain in the neck. So this is Jake Moore now in 27th. He'll rue that corner from earlier. So we're looking at Matcher. Of course, I can't get actually to the positions, but these are the track positions at the moment. Christopher Steffen in first position. That means it's a Bentley win. If he can make this round the final corners. And here he is. Tracking a back marker, just passing a back marker. You see Nate is not letting this go. Nate's been within touch of him for the whole race, but not actually really closed the gap. I have been tracking it just to see whether that was worth a revisit. These two guys have been pretty much pace matching for most of the race. We're less than a second between the two, but it's never been very far apart for most of the race. They've both in turn been dropping the Honda of Schuller. And also Matcher looks like he's been putting pressure on, but can't see he's going to make it this lap here. Going through, Christopher Streppen first position, Nate Newcomer second, Schuller in third, Matcher in fourth, Jensen in fifth, Brown in 6th, Kudnik in 7th, Harpham in 8th, Chauvelin in 9th and Eugenie in 10th, which puts 2 Beamers in the top 10, 1 Bentley, a Lexus made it in, 2 Ferraris, so that's a strong recovery from the Ferraris, 1 McLaren, 1 Honda and Nissan. So good spread of manufacturers in that final session. Absolutely great racing there across the board as we track into the next cars. That was a pretty stunning race, and it goes straight into the next session. So what can I say? 2 fabulous races and 2 great qualifying sessions as well. Many opportunities, I think, there where we saw opportunities to maintain a lead. I was really thinking this was going to be a Bentley 1-2 for this second race. Jake had a little brain fart, I think, at some point. Lost it. We saw him on the side of the track as we came up. Some great results all round. Fantastic. That starts our first of 10 series, and just as a reminder, we're doing 9 more races on this particular Constructors series, and that's going to take us to a number of different tracks. I'll ping them up, and effectively we'll be running this every Tuesday for the next 4 or 5 weeks, running up to the Christmas to the seasonal break, and then we'll take 2 weeks off. And as I said at the top of this broadcast, that means that each driver gets the opportunity to flip out, maybe change their team if they want to, and change to a different constructor. We will be at Zandvoort next week on the 24th of November on a Tuesday. So with that, I'll leave you to say good night, and thank you very much for watching. I hope you've really enjoyed it. I think it's going to be a fantastic season. Thanks guys, and have a wonderful rest of the day.